My children soon will be gods. この狩りの始まりだ。
Oh, you didn't know?
Down, down, down.
Yo, better call somebody.
Down, down, down.
Monday Night Raw.
Yes. Oh, man. So, we're here again, and this is the thing. This has been recommended to us now for hell and ever. I can't remember the first time that this was recommended to us, but I knew I had to wait for a fellow wrestling fan to be in on it with me, because Nick, as much as Nick wants to as much as Nick, I want him to get into wrestling, and as much as he does know about wrestling, I know that drawn up here. I mean, we're just like D. He's gonna just be there, and he's just gonna be like, oh yeah. We're like, I'm all about that.
Yes, sir.
Like, as many wrestling shows as we've been to, you know, like down with UCW.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, shout out UCW.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They just had their return show, and it was awesome.
That's what's up.
I was down there for that, and did
they pack it out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Over 250 people showed up, man.
Word.
Yeah. Like, they pre-sold like 185 tickets, and like they sold out all 250 seats in capacity, and it was like, damn.
That's beautiful.
Awesome.
Man.
It was like, especially given everything that place has been through, man. I mean,
that weather was crazy. They had to go through,
man. All those floods still ain't 100% recovered. It'll take years for them to be recovered.
Oh, no question.
But I'm all about. I was all about sharing, sharing the love, and being down there and being there for them and everything. I was doing everything I could, and I still feel like I don't do enough, but. They had a great show, and I always love pro wrestling. Always will love pro wrestling, and
this is going to highlight that. This is going to highlight our.
Oh
love,
yeah,
right?
There will never be another show like Monday Night Raw.
Did they put? They had a transition from Peacock to Netflix, right?
Yes.
But they've taken down most of Raw.
Yes.
Like, you could just watch the current Raws.
You can watch the current Raws, and I think they a lot of the older ones are locked down. You can't really get access to them anymore. At least in their original format. There's some, much like how they edited a lot of the old ones.
Yeah.
Going back and watching some of the old ones now with them overdubbing stuff, I'm just like, come on.
Oh yeah. That's pitiful.
Also, them eliminating chair shots and all that. Look. Here's the thing you need to accept for. At the time, we didn't know. At the time, nobody knew how severe chair shots could be.
Oh, the industry had ran so long with that. Like, it was just established nature. Like,
yeah.
You're going to see a chair shot.
Yeah, you grit your teeth, you put your head down, and pow.
Oh.
I've taken chair shots. Heck, I took a chair shot at UCW, and you know what? I'm all good. Mostly.
Tell the tale.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Yo.
I'm sorry.
CTE.
I'm joking. Well, if anything, I got more CTE from playing football than I did, going to wrestling.
Shoot, ain't that the truth? You knocking heads every play on that field, bro.
Yeah, getting head slapped, getting just jostled around.
Come on.
Dude, head-to-head collisions and all that. Look, the human brain, there are some people out there who are capable of taking hits like that. And are built to do that. And then there's other people who just ain't.
Well, see, and that's the thing. You're getting on a great point. That's the thing with wrestling. Like, Mick Foley, there's nobody tougher than that dude. You know what I'm saying? But not everybody's built like that.
No. Not everyone's built to be a human crash test.
No, facts.
And also, not every wrestler is, as physically capable and can, do the moves. For instance, I look at people who, like Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, for about 10 to 12 years there, when he first started all the way up until around the mid-2000s, I would say he was one of the best high flyers, and just, he was consistently good. But then later on, he wasn't able to do the moves like he used to, and now he's more than likely to not only hurt himself, but hurt other people in the ring with him.
Right.
And
there's a timeline.
seeing him do some of the crazy stuff that he does, like in his 40s, dude. That's scary to me.
Dude, he's insane. I mean, Kurt Angle was the same way.
Oh, Perk Angle?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, prime Perk Angle.
He's same way.
50 perks a day, dude.
Dude,
just
was
crushing
crazy
them
to
up
hear.
and like chomping them down.
That's crazy to hear.
And then, dude,
Just to fight the pain.
Yeah, the fact that he's still here.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
insane. And him doing front flips on top of Abyss on TNA Impact and like doing these high spots off of the top of these 20-foot cages, landing sternum and belly first on these moonsaults that he misses.
Dude, 11 years in his career and started doing that shit. Like, just
already
incredible.
after breaking his neck doing Olympic style wrestling.
He had like 15 careers through one career.
Yes. And the fact that he's still here. Well, and here's the thing. Kurt is probably going to go back in for like neck surgery again. And they're going to be doing, instead of like a fusion, they're instead going to be removing a segment of his spinal column and instead putting in like a false one.
Oh, wow.
Because that's the thing. A lot of MMA fighters, Aljamain Sterling, he actually had that done. He wrecked his neck really bad in training one time. And they basically told him that he's going to have to retire. So he went to this doctor, and this doctor basically hooked him up with this brand new like prosthetic 3D printed compression spinal spinal column replacement.
3D printed.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
And they put it in there, and he said 6 months of rehab later, I was back, and like back to how he was.
What?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Kurt heard about this, and he's just like, I have all these fusions in my neck, and if they're able to replace at least one of those and give me a little bit of mobility back in my neck, and like help me to where my arms aren't atrophying and like because his arms are like just whittling away because he can't work them out because of like the blood circulation being cut off.
He looks really thin.
Yeah,
through that.
So that's what he's wanting to do, and he's not trying to plan a comeback. He's planning for the next 20, 30 years of his life, or whatever's left of his life.
Right.
And he's wanting to live it as best
he
can.
he don't need to do a comeback. Yeah.
No.
You did it, dog. Yeah. Stay where you at.
Kurt, you won.
Yeah,
dude.
stay where you at.
You won. You ain't got to prove
You've done
nothing
more
to nobody.
than most wrestlers will ever accomplish.
Exactly. And that is something to take pride in.
I mean, and that's not just professional wrestling. That's amateur as well. So,
okay. How many people here can say that they've won an Olympic gold medal
exactly
with a broken freaking neck? How many people? Not many.
He's the only one I know.
Yeah, but we got here a video by Imp Lemon.
I wonder if they'll talk about Kurt on this.
Oh yeah, I think they might. We'll see.
He kind of came in like early 2000.
Yeah, he came in right at the tail end of the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
like he came in at a heck of a time. Attitude Era, like I look at the Attitude Era as like Montreal Screwjob up until WrestleMania 17.
That's a good.
Yeah, because Montreal Screwjob in '97, everyone looks at that as like the watershed moment of like when the lines of wrestling and reality were blurred so bad, nobody knew what was real and nobody knew what was fake.
Yeah.
And then everything built from there. You had Shawn Michaels, DX, you had The Undertaker, we had Stone Cold, The Rock, and then the big build up to WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 17 in 2001, like the two top dudes in the industry, both of them baby faces at the time.
Right.
Like that's the thing, because usually it's like heel face.
Heel face, yeah.
And then instead it's like you got two faces. Neither of
them are true baby faces.
Well, and no, they're anti-heroes.
Yeah.
They're sort of tweeners, but like this was a weird era where like the anti-hero was the baby face.
Oh yeah, facts.
And the truth is with that, neither person, no one wanted to see either one of them lose.
No.
Like me, I rooted for both of them because I was fans of both of them.
Well, it's a match you can't be mad about. Like whoever wins, like these are the best. Like
the only thing I will say is like the ending got messed up whenever Vince McMahon got involved and like Austin tried to do a heel turn.
That was the worst.
I was like, that was one way to ruin the ending of that.
If that does not happen, They are still riding the wave, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, as far 100%.
Yeah, they are still riding the wave.
100%. I still have my old VHS copy of like when I recorded WrestleMania 17. I still got it.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, dude. I still got it out there in the tote. I saw it the other day. I was just like, oh man.
Yeah, that's some raw emotions on that. Too.
Oh yeah. I rewatched that at least 10 times. I rewatched it.
Oh man, I can watch it 20. Yeah, like what is
I
that
love
good?
That it's my favorite WrestleMania.
Yeah.
In my lifetime. But we got this video here by Amp Lemon talking about Monday Night Raw and how there will never be another show like it. Are you ready, my dude?
Oh, I'm more than ready.
Let's go.
In the first episode of Never Ever, I talked about the appeal of SpongeBob. I like SpongeBob, and it's not difficult to explain why I like SpongeBob because everybody likes SpongeBob. Professional wrestling is a bit of a different story. When I say names like Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, and Andre the Giant, most of you can probably picture a vague figure in your heads, but you can't specifically tell who I'm talking about.
I can.
Yeah, what?
I can see all of them.
Clear as day.
Woo!
Stop.
Brother. Or,
yeah.
And then, ooh, yeah. Like, look at me when I'm talking to you.
Nigga.
Yeah. Oh.
Why is this? Well, the answer is professional wrestling is one of the most popular and unpopular forms of entertainment on Earth. Trying to justify to people why I enjoy watching professional wrestling is like trying to justify why manatees haven't gone extinct. On the surface, it just looks so dumb and awkward and makes you wonder how something like it could even exist.
Why? Because they're cool. I like manatees.
Yo. Oldest ever manatee to captivity died by accidentally swimming
into an off-limits drainage area. Yeah.
And more importantly, how it continues to exist.
Oh,
now,
snooty.
I'll admit, the idea of watching half-naked, oily, buff dudes pretending to beat each other up doesn't exactly sound like the most entertaining thing in the world. But that's kind of what makes it so amazing. Because despite its weird premise and clumsy appearance, professional wrestling fosters the capacity for emotional storytelling that can compel an arena of stoic adults to jump out of their seats and scream like little kids.
It's performance art.
It's an art, yes.
It's an art. Dude, like SummerSlam '92 when British Bulldog beat Bret Hart. Oh my gosh.
I've always thought of wrestling as a moving comic book. Like it's like a live comic book. You got all these different characters. You get the scenarios. You got your heroes. You got your villains. You know what I'm saying? You could put it all in panels and it would work just the same.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say.
No. And look, everyone out there, like, I've gotten on to some people about this. And people are just like wrestling? You know that shit's fake, right? And then he's wearing like a Walking Dead t-shirt. It's like, Walking Dead. You know that shit's fake, right?
Yeah, facts.
It's like
the same type of feel.
Exactly.
It's the same feel.
It's like it's performance art. It's like just because my form of entertainment that I like is different than yours doesn't mean that you like. It's like everything. It's like everything's fake, dude. Come on, like give me a break.
Yeah, is Iron Man real? Come on.
Yeah.
Now.
You think? I was gonna say. You think if you actually meet Robert Downey Jr. in real life, he's gonna be like having all that awesome Tony Stark shit? No, it's not real.
He's gonna be like, it was a movie, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't believe me? Well, then you probably haven't watched an episode of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very relevant or easy to tell these days. You probably got a little sugar in your tank if you ain't ever seen a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
20,000 fans with an attitude. This is WWF Raw.
Classic, dude. That era with like Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler just going off on commentary.
Oh, man. I would always be mad, like, coming from a pay-per-view, like, if my dude didn't win, and, like, JR didn't stay mad with me. Like,
yeah.
He would move on. I was like, JR, no, we can't move on.
No, but every now and again, he would just be like, after the atrocity we witnessed last night
there you go.
At Survivor Series, where Stone Cold Steve Austin was screwed out of his title, it's like, yeah. You got that right, Jim Ross. You got that right.
Yeah, let's keep this going. Keep the heat.
Yeah.
But Amp, a lot of you are probably thinking, professional wrestling isn't real. You must be too dumb to realize that. I am smarter than you because I know that professional wrestling is fake. Aw, man, you got me. Professional wrestling is not, in fact, a real athletic competition. There's no getting around that. Guess I have to end the video here because pro wrestling isn't real.
Oh, gosh. Actually, hold on. I need to do something real quick. I forgot I need... Hold on. I still got it. Dang it. Nope. Okay. So sorry, everybody. Just got it. Oh, that's stupid. I don't know why it's like that. You hear him up there? Frodo?
Oh, is he barking?
Yeah, he yipping.
Go it again.
He's yipping again.
He's all talk.
Hey, that's all he does, man.
All talk.
Just talk shit, talk shit, talk shit, talk shit, talk
Confront
shit.
him and he just...
And I'm just like...
Oh.
Turn away, talk shit, talk shit, talk shit. It's like, yeah, it's all he does, man.
Is that what we're doing, Frodo?
Man. Okay, so let's see. I got the...
Hey, where are the white women at?
There we go. Now we're talking.
Oh, you got a soundboard?
Oh yeah, I got the soundboard. Now, I was gonna say, anytime you hear Drake say "Hear me out," bruh.
Come on now.
Come on. Okay, so sorry about that. But yeah, I just knew I had to do this. I knew I had to do this.
Professional wrestling is not, in fact, a real athletic competition. There's no getting around that.
I just had to do it. Just that one. Ah!
Guess I have to end the video here because pro wrestling isn't real.
It's still real to me, damn it!
But neither is Star Wars, or the Avengers, or Goku, or Homer Simpson, or any character in Super Smash Bros. None of these things are real. However, it doesn't stop people from talking about them far more than they do a lot of real things.
Wow.
And in order to truly appreciate the rhetorical value of pro wrestling, you must treat it as it really is.
And
Well,
Savage
so-
Of
yeah,
fiction.
at,
But not just any
WrestleMania
fiction.
3.
Pro wrestling is one of the last remaining bastions of
Intercontinental
theater.
title, right?
Now,
Yep.
like a lot of you, I went to public school, where many of you can probably remember multiple times in English class when you had to learn about this guy called Bill Shakespeare, considered by many scholars to be the greatest playwright of all time. And for so many years,
up there,
I didn't get
debatable.
the appeal. I don't think anyone else did either. The only types of people in school who actually seemed to care about Shakespeare were the future MIT grad who memorized every piece of trivia ever, or the kid who was way too into theater. I never realized the value of Shakespeare until I discovered the treasure trove of old pro wrestling clips on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Book. Look up. We'll be right back.
Then you got sensational Sherry behind it. Like, as soon, oh god.
Oh, you're okay, honey.
Yeah, you okay, Book. And then all of a sudden, as soon as they were done rolling on that, like, everyone started dying laughing.
Yo.
Like, Book thought he was fired. Like, it's like,
Did he?
He
He
did.
can't fire Booker T.
oh, no, dude.
That's money on paper.
And only then did I realize why people love Shakespeare. Reading Shakespeare in 7th grade English is so boring because the content is not meant to be consumed through words on paper. Shakespearean plays flourished during a time before the majority of people knew how to read.
That's
Playwrights and actors had to craft compelling narrative performances using the limited tools they had.
Wow, that's
If you
interesting,
boil
actually.
it down,
Yeah,
that's
the
cool.
genre of theater mostly involves a bunch of weird people in stupid costumes
Oh, wow.
prancing around and over-embellishing
Okay, now they're showing Broadway because they just showed Wicked. Now they're showing friggin' Hamilton.
in iambic pentameter. Theatrical entertainment doesn't come from what's literally happening on stage. The value of theater comes from filling in the blanks using our imagination. This fundamental principle is
true.
otherwise known
Oh,
as
yeah.
the suspension of disbelief. It's why when you see
The
this
fourth wall.
image, your brain doesn't automatically interpret it as some guy called Mark Hamill holding a blue stick. When you see this image, you see Luke
Luke
Skywalker.
Skywalker.
Yeah, for me here, this they actually showed off the original concept of how they had the sabers work.
Uh-huh.
It was a spinning diode in here that they would attach a pole that would spin and had a reflective material,
Oh, wow.
And thus it caused it to like flash and like look
like light?
Yeah, it's basically the same material they used out of like cinema screens.
Okay.
Made it really stand out.
Skywalker holding
Looks
a
great.
lightsaber, neither of which are actually real. Suspension of disbelief allows us to accept beyond what's literally happening on screen. It allows us to experience a story and its characters as real, no matter how simple the presentation. This same principle applies to novels, comic books, musical lyrics, cartoons, movies, and yes, professional wrestling. Visual storytelling is an inherently human art form, and people have been performing stories for audiences for thousands of years, dating all the way back to the earliest known auditoriums of ancient Greece, where citizens would gather around and listen to an esteemed orator recite the works of Homer.
I'm so angry I could spit flames out of my butt.
Homer Simpson versus Lisa Simpson.
Yeah.
It should go without saying that the 1990s in America were very different from 6th century BC Greece. 3,000 years ago, people really didn't have that much stuff to drown out the entertainment value of a guy standing on a platform and just talking to the audience. The 1990s was the birth of a new era of screens. Television, video games, huge blockbuster movies, even the beginning of the World Wide Web. The new millennium was rapidly approaching, and everyone was preparing for the futuristic, technocratic, utopian future of the 2000s by surrounding themselves with the newest, coolest gadgets of the age.
Wow, dude. Look at all this.
Oh,
the
is that
old
a pager?
Walkman. Yeah, the pager. The floppy disk, 95.
Yeah. That's that shit.
I got it. I got that right there, dog.
That's timeless
I got
technology
it
right there. Yeah.
You'd expect that all these new entertainment sources wouldn't leave much room for little old theater, and you'd probably be right if it weren't for professional wrestling.
Oh,
From
SmackDown
about 1996 to 2001, professional wrestling became one of the most inescapable cornerstones of American entertainment.
I love the fact that it's that WWF and WCW, like the highest rating. Like, dude, look at that.
Yeah, you can't argue with it.
No, and look at that. You'd see those two going back and forth like the Monday Night Wars, literally the Monday Night Wars, insane.
Oh man, Mondays
And in order
I would
to
be back and forth,
Oh,
trying
dude,
to catch both of them.
Yeah, I would watch the one downstairs on the big TV in the living room. Meanwhile, I'd have the other one upstairs recording on my VCR.
Oh, you were way ahead of my time.
Then I came back and I went and I watched the other one. I was like, yeah.
You got an extra 2 hours.
We must first talk about a guy by the name of Vince
Yo,
McMahon.
classic. And the build-up. You got to watch the build-up. You can't watch just that episode.
No, you gotta watch like the true it's just like this. He is the what was it? It was the headmaster. Was not headmaster. What was it? I forget what
he was like the leader of the corporate ministry.
Yeah,
he was playing it like it was the I don't want to ruin it.
It's me, Austin.
Yeah,
it was me.
It was me. All the teddy bear. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
that shit was hilarious.
Vince, Mr. I shit on people, McMahon.
Facts.
Vince McMahon started out with nothing. He was trapped in a dirt poor household with an abusive stepfather. Today he's worth about $3.5 billion, which is a little bit more than Donald Trump. It should be noted that this disparity hasn't prevented the two from being friends, which is the primary reason why Vince's wife Linda is currently in the executive cabinet of the United States.
Sure is.
Perhaps
She was,
Vince and
not
Donald
anymore,
are
though.
such good friends because they...
Nah, like with when Trump when Trump lost the election, he lost, by the way. When he lost, she was outed, and then now that he's back in there, I don't think she's coming back in anytime soon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't see her on the docket of like people that he chose to be part of his new cabinet.
They have so much in common. The two billionaires were born just 10 months apart.
Damn, the
Both got
40s.
rich not through a groundbreaking invention, but through ruthless business acumen.
Yes.
Both of them started a rival football league to the NFL that ultimately failed, and both of them built empires by transforming businesses that they inherited from their fathers. In Vince McMahon's case, he reunited with his father, Vince McMahon, Sr. at the age of 12. Vince Sr. owned the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and Vince took a managerial position at the company.
Perhaps the most phenomenal athlete of all time, standing to my right, the one and only Andre the Giant heads up one-on-one.
By the mid-1980s, Vince Sr. had passed away, and Vince McMahon was now in charge of a booming wrestling empire.
But here's the thing: he didn't inherit it from his dad. He actually bought he actually bought it out from under his dad.
Yeah.
And that's the craziest part about it.
Because his dad wasn't about it.
No.
Yeah, his dad wasn't about it at all. And then he started seeing his vision. He started seeing Vince's vision.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like, started riding the wagon. But
yeah, and then Vince Sr. died. And then when Vince Sr. died, that was like all roadblocks out of the way for Vince Jr. to just come in and just like start. Like,
territories
yoink,
got
yoink,
scared. Yeah.
Yoink. Yoink.
Let me get
took in all the talent from everywhere else, bought up all the like TV rights and everything. It's like, damn, dude.
The good old boys did not like it.
Nope.
Over the past decade, McMahon had completely overhauled the territorial system of the pro wrestling industry and transformed the WWF into a nationally recognized brand. In the 80s, the WWF experienced their first great boom period.
Look at
Vince's
that.
ambitious business ventures like WrestleMania brought professional wrestling into the American pay-per-view market and transformed stars like Hulk Hogan into national icons. The WWF's huge success in the late 80s quickly began to recede in the early 90s.
Yeah, the late 80s, early 90s, the new generation era that came in like around 91 to 95 is just like it didn't paint the best picture. But then
However, this was due to a multitude of reasons, ranging from a waning audience, Hulk Hogan departing for Hollywood, and a massive steroid controversy that almost sent Vince to prison, coupled with other failed experiments such as the World Bodybuilding Federation. It's safe to say that by 1993, Vince was in dire need of a new enterprise. It was at this time when Vince decided to transition the WWF into a staple of cable television through the debut of Monday Night Raw.
One, two, he got on. He did it again.
Yeah.
That was a key lineup, though.
Yeah.
I fuck with that lineup. I don't know this
popularization of the television in American society, professional wrestling has always had its place on TV, but never to the extent of what Monday Night...
Oh, man, big-time wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Oh,
man, look at all this.
Night Raw sought to accomplish. Prior to Raw, the primary role of wrestling on TV was to stimulate interest for live shows or pay-per-views. Wrestling programming at this time was supplemental, and mostly involved recapping old events or promoting new ones. You would hardly ever see any high-profile or interesting wrestling matches televised during this time, as the intrigue was reserved for more important events. Monday Night Raw changed all of that by broadcasting new matches and progressing the story every Monday night on the USA Network. Before Raw, pro wrestling was limited in its storytelling capabilities, as most of the time the audience would only be aware of the narrative and characters through a handful of pay-per-view events each year. Raw greatly expanded the capacity for storytelling in the WWF, as the audience could now tune into new developments on a weekly basis. The foundation had been set for one of the most innovative and unique television programs in the world, but it would take an entirely separate force to truly take Raw to the next level. Today, the WWF is now the WWE, and it's the only major wrestling promotion in America. In the 90s, however,
they lost the lawsuit to the World Wildlife, dude.
That had me so hot. I don't know. It's just something about the F that really it needs that F, though.
Yeah. Man, come on. There can be only one.
Who even cares?
I love the fact that they have the panda with the chair.
We went to whoop
also, but here's the thing: this WWF was out before this WWF,
and that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah.
How did they lose that?
I don't know.
They had a terrible lawyer.
Must have.
They had to.
Wrestling promotion in America. In the 90s, however, there was another. WCW was a wrestling promotion largely based in the South, and by the 1990s, it was the only major wrestling promotion in America that Vince had failed to conquer. The company was largely helped by the endorsement of media mogul Ted Turner, a longtime wrestling fan who supported WCW by airing its programming on the Turner family of networks. In the early 90s, WCW quickly became a popular alternative to the WWF, due in large part to signing some of the WWF's older and more established talent.
I remember that Halloween Havoc, dude. That cage match was
In
nutty.
1995, a Turner Network executive by the name of Eric Bischoff decided the time was right to challenge the WWF's throne as the #1 wrestling company in America. On September 4th, 1995,
Monday Night Wars
WCW
again.
would launch Monday Nitro, their own weekly
I mean,
block
they ran it
of
for a
wrestling
while,
entertainment
though.
on TNT.
Oh,
WCW.
84 weeks or 83 weeks.
Wow.
83 weeks. They beat Raw in the ratings 83 weeks. Eric Bischoff reminds everybody of that all the time.
All the time.
You know, because I think that's one of the names of his podcast.
Nitro would go on to compete head-to-head
gold
with
medal,
Raw,
ain't it?
occupying
Oh,
the
yeah.
same primetime time slot. And starting in 1996, Nitro would overtake Raw in television viewership, beginning an 84-week-long streak
84
of
weeks.
WCW dominance. In the midst of Nitro's prolonged period of success over Raw, Vince McMahon knew that his company was now in jeopardy. More and more of the WWF's high-end talent were jumping ship to WCW.
But see, this is
leaving
where,
Raw stuck
if I
with
could
a
just place some comments. Yo, this is where I feel WWF has always just been better, though. Their presentation, like, carrying the storylines. WCW had all the, like, if WWF would have had all the stars WCW had at that time,
Yeah.
it's just no contest. But there was a transition because, again, I feel WWF has always just presented it better, like get you invested more. Like WCW, when they brought NWO, nothing else was added.
Yeah.
It just kept running NWO, his guys.
And then they burned out.
Exactly.
They got too big and then they burned out. And WWF in the beginning made the wrong choices. Like right here, fake Diesel and fake Razor. By the way, that's Kane.
Yeah,
aka
exactly.
Glenn
Who was
Jacobs.
the other guy though?
Mike.
I never knew his name.
Hold on. Let's look at that real quick. Fake Razor.
That was the worst move they ever did.
Yeah.
Was trying to replace them for real.
Rick Bognar. Okay.
Okay.
oh,
Did he ever have another run?
No. Oh, he passed away. Oh, that's
Oh
unfortunate.
damn.
Never really had like much anything of note.
That was his biggest gig, wasn't it?
That was, well, I mean, 6'6", so yeah, he's a big dude.
By default.
Yeah. But yeah, fake Diesel and fake Razor, definitely one of their worst decisions they've ever made.
Oh, easily.
Cast of unpopular and unproven faces. So when faced with such stiff competition, Vince did what
That
any
was
other
a
monarch
screw
would do when
job.
his empire's threatened. Go to war.
But see, they didn't treat. I don't think WCW treated Bret Hart right. Like,
No, well, I was gonna say once again, their treatment of Bret Hart, their treatment of like multiple stars that came in, they just basically were like, okay, because here's the thing, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan were in bed together, like being like, okay, we need to keep NWO at the top. Because the thing, Hulk Hogan didn't want to like job to anybody.
Right.
He wanted to stay champion forever.
Right.
It's like, but whenever it came for him to like do the job to like, for instance, like every now and again he'd like do a favor for one of the boys, you know, like Lex Luger. He lost the belt to Lex Luger, but then he won it back like literally the next month in a squash match.
that's the problem. That's the main point, really. They were running WCW as in the superstars. It was completely out of Bischoff's hands, completely out of Turner's hand by the end of it. Like,
and in truth, it lended to some really interesting stuff happening. But once you get past that initial burst, like saner heads have to prevail, and like you have to start focusing on building new storylines. You can't just be like, oh well, Hulk Hogan goes over this week because you know shenanigans. Then they spray paint like NWO on someone's back again, or it's like, oh well, you know, then there's a huge like interruption and the Outsiders retain their tag team titles. It's like, can't we actually like talk about like doing like actual wrestling matches.
Can we develop somebody else?
Yeah,
Like,
can we develop these new tag teams?
yeah, thanks. Because y'all got the best cruiserweight division going,
Oh,
right?
dude,
Like,
the cruiserweight division, like that mid card segment, like propped up by like Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, the Luchadors that they brought in, like Eddie Guerrero, La Parka, like dude, Rey Mysterio.
should have been at the top of the card with all those other guys.
Exactly, but oh well.
War? You want a war? You're gonna get one.
You're
It
gonna
has been
get
said that anything can happen here in the World Wrestling Federation, but now more
this
than
intro.
ever, true
Yeah.
words have never been spoken.
Chuck E. Cheese.
You don't see knives, you don't see guns, you don't see rapes, you don't see anything at all like that that's portrayed in anything that we do. It's a very wholesome, family-oriented environment.
WWF
Boy,
wrestling
how
in the
things
80s
changed,
and early
right?
90s was largely a reflection of American culture at the time. It had a deceptively sanitized exterior of traditional family values that was masking a grotesque underbelly of steroids, cocaine, and painkillers. You had the bleached blonde hero Hulk Hogan patriotically leg-dropping America's nefarious foreign adversaries.
Yo.
By the mid-90s, a lot of people in America began to see through the facade, which gave rise to a huge
Magic,
movement
yeah.
of counterculture.
The rebellious culture.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
That you see, I always made that distinction. I always made that distinction. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, because counterculture. You Bart Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt Cobain, Eric Cartman, Tony Hawk, and of course Calvin. Right here, I always made this comparison. I was just like, wait, NWO. God dang it!
Facts. Which I think they actually had them on the show, didn't they?
I think they did at one point.
Or they had No Limit for sure. I can't remember if they brought it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
all of a sudden, you had the American hero Hulk Hogan dyeing his beard black, smoking cigars, and beating up good guys on WCW, and people loved it. Vince could see the
Well,
tide
dude,
of
the
American
Bash at the Beach, roast of dude, that Bash at the Beach turn, my God.
Oh, yeah.
culture turning,
What?
and he
Throw
knew
shit
that
in
if he
the
wanted
ring?
to save his
Yeah.
empire, he was going to have to get edgy. What transpired was one of the most awe-inspiring 2 years in the history of American television, with Monday Night Raw and WCW Nitro.
Oh, gosh,
this
Mae
was
Young.
crazy.
Poor Mae Young, no.
Yo, that power bomb is amazing.
Steve is a dead man walking.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Because
Pillman's got a gun.
16 meets
There are no
Pillman.
guns used in ours.
Yeah.
Imagine if Seinfeld
Pillman's
and
got a
Friends
gun.
were both trying to put each other out of business as members of each
Is that what
cast
happened to
would
Pillman?
constantly swap back and forth between
Yeah.
each show.
Oh my
This is
God.
what it must have been like to watch
Oh,
professional
dude,
wrestling
Jericho
during this
arriving,
era.
man.
I could list
Oh,
off a
amazing.
compilation of all
Y2J.
the outrageous and incredible events
Oh, yeah.
that were transpiring between these
Bam.
companies on a weekly basis. But to
Yo,
truly help you
I always
grasp
thought that was so
the
cold.
absolute
Yeah.
madness of this time, I only need to show you one moment from one episode of Monday Night Raw. But before you can truly know the significance of this moment, I've got some explaining to do. First and foremost, every good story needs a good protagonist. So let's talk about Mick
Hi, Mick.
Foley. When you picture a professional wrestler in your head, you probably don't picture a guy like Mick Foley. Mick Foley's pear-shaped physique hardly resembles the tall, chiseled muscle men that are common in the WWF. Mick Foley doesn't have the freakish size, Herculean strength, or Olympic athleticism to draw an audience. The reason wrestling fans watch Mick Foley is to watch him get hurt. By all measures, Mick Foley is simply not talented enough to earn a share of the pro wrestling spotlight. To compensate for this, he sacrifices his own body through some...
Oh, yeah, that's when he lost his ear. That's when he lost part of his ear.
In the ropes?
Yep.
Oh, that's
Because right here, he was supposed to be down here, but instead it was up here around his head.
Uh-huh.
And basically, when they pulled the ropes apart to get him out, the ropes basically just took that part of his ear off.
One of the most death-defying stunts the WWF has ever seen. Perhaps Mick Foley's most iconic moment came in 1998 during the second ever Hell in a Cell match. In this match,
just gets
Mick
yeeted
Foley
off the
is
top
wrestling
rope
as
or off the top of the
Mankind,
cage.
just one of his 3 different wrestling personas. Mankind is supposed to be this disfigured, gremlin-like guy who lives in the boiler room beneath the arena. He finishes off his opponents by suffocating them with a dirty sock. And he's completely insane. In this match, Mankind is fighting The Undertaker.
It's not really suffocation, it's more nerve manipulation.
Yeah.
The Undertaker is one of the most legendary and recognizable wrestlers of all time. It's difficult to get wrestling fans to agree on anything, but even the most jaded ones will act giddy upon hearing the sound of The Undertaker's iconic dong.
Where's he at? Where's he at? Yep.
What's up, bro?
What's up?
The popularity of The Undertaker is difficult to describe for anyone who's not a fan of professional wrestling, and I'm not going to try to explain it now, but maybe Justin Wang from the YouTube channel Wang can, since, you know, he kind of looks like The Undertaker.
The Undertaker is hands down the greatest character in the history of WWE. He debuts at a time when Vince is going crazy, throwing all kinds of different gimmicks against the wall. Literally shares his first pay-per-view appearance with a guy in a giant turkey costume. But unlike the Garbage Man, who for some reason also wrestles, or the Plumber, who for some reason also wrestles, the Undead Zombie, who for some reason also wrestles, had way more staying power. The Undertaker very quickly becomes a fan favorite and maintains that status for almost 30 years. He continually reinvents himself over the course of those 30 years and eventually becomes the unbeatable final boss of WrestleMania, except for that time he got beaten. But it's actually kind of a good thing that he...
Twice.
Yeah, they should have just never did that either.
There's debate around it. I think maybe, but at the same time, it's just like, it should have stayed undefeated.
Yeah, just end it.
Yeah, just like 20, just like 23-0, 24-0. Hell, make him go 25-0, and then just like at the end of it, just being like right off into the sunset. Just like
because Phenom, you want to sell that story to me, but
yeah.
Whatever.
He got beaten because to pigeonhole him as the WrestleMania guy minimizes everything else that he's accomplished in his career.
Thanks, Justin. I'm not going to get too much into The Undertaker right now because he doesn't really play a role in the Raw moment I'm discussing. But he was involved in Mick Foley's most recognizable moment ever by throwing Mankind off the top of the cell in front of thousands of stunned spectators.
Yo.
Mick
Emotions on that night
280
cannot be
pound body
captured.
plummeted from the height of a 2-story building and splashed down on the announcer table below.
It's always a Spanish announce table too.
Every time.
Every time.
No one had ever seen anything like it. The following shots of Mick Foley show medical personnel surrounding him and lifting his limp body onto a stretcher. At this point, any fan watching would have walked away completely satisfied with the effort that Mick had already put into this one stunt.
Not a doubt.
About 5 minutes later,
but
this happened.
Here comes Mick. Back at it again.
Back.
Dislocated shoulder and all, climbs right back up there.
The boy is back in town. Oh, that was so brutal.
Damn. Watching from the back, I thought he was dead. I ran out there and looked down at him. He's still up. Yeah. Oh, man.
And that mat is not soft.
No, I've been slammed on it multiple times.
Mick Foley can be seen, somehow still conscious, sitting up in the ring corner with his tooth in his nostril. He then wrestled The Undertaker for about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, dude, hitting him on the shoulder that's dislocated.
It's foul, bro.
Oh, man.
Undertaker just doing his job. He's like, it's not personal, it's just business.
Yeah.
Where he eventually got choke-slammed onto a pile of thumbtacks.
This was all Mick.
Yep.
We gotta do the tags. Let Undertaker tell it. That's what he says.
The Undertaker won this match, but Mick Foley, through his superhuman resilience to pain, had won the hearts of the WWF fans. Naturally, this match instantly cemented Mick Foley as a legend in the pro wrestling universe, and as a fan
that's
favorite.
a bona fide war
and even
right
though
there.
he won the admiration of the audience, he never quite seemed like a guy who was supposed to win a lot of matches. And most importantly, never did anyone truly believe that Mick Foley could become the WWF champion.
Never. They never thought it would happen.
But I always thought his matches
So
just had
what's the
another,
point
obviously
of
another element with him throwing himself everywhere. But
yeah,
I don't know, just the passion you felt for a main con match, like you don't get that in every match, man.
No, you don't. You basically the thing with Mick is there's always that aura of uncertainty,
right?
That aura of randomness and that aura of just like, what the hell is he going to do next?
Facts.
And that's what kept people tuning in. And the thing about it is, Mick could not be a nicer guy.
That's what's crazy about
Mick
it.
Foley, everyone who has ever talked about Mick Foley, ever worked with Mick Foley, has always said the exact same thing. The nicest man in the wrestling industry. I mean, outside of Bobby Eaton. Everybody talked about Bobby Eaton as well, you know. Bobby Eaton, you know, but that's not a name everybody knows about. But more people know about Mick Foley than they do about Bobby Eaton. But yeah, rest in peace, by the way, Bobby Eaton. You know, that still sucks. But yeah, Mick, the level of uncertainty that he would bring to his matches, and just like what's he gonna do? Is he gonna whip out Mr. Sacco?
Right.
Is he gonna go grab a chair and just start like swinging on people?
Barbed wire, 2x4.
Yeah, the baseball bat, or just like, dude, him and The Rock.
This
dude.
guy talks like he could never see him winning. I disagree. I always thought Mick as a strong competitor, like whenever whatever match, because of the fact that you're talking about, like, what's going to happen in this match that could turn it in his favor. But I guess his story, which behind the scenes of Mankind, they wanted him to be tortured in a way.
Like, and well, you need, like, everybody's got their motif to fill. You know, the Undertaker's this unstoppable god phenom character. You know, he's a gigantic 6'10" monster. Same thing with Kane.
Right.
Then you have, The Rock, who basically is just this ultra cocky dude, who can sometimes be on the fan side, but also can be on the other side of the coin and be against the fans. Then you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is like the guy. He's the guy who tells his boss to go fuck himself. And you see, everybody has their motifs to fill, and Mick was the human crash test dummy that could take an incomprehensible amount of pain, but yet would still keep coming.
It oversells it.
Yeah.
He oversells everything. Like Triple H's hate, he wouldn't have nearly as much hate if he didn't have Mick Foley.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, like, especially their matches in, like, Royal Rumble 2001 to, like, WrestleMania 2000, like a WrestleMania 2000. Dude, oh my God.
Oh, what?
Like, dude.
Menace.
I swear. Like, that Royal Rumble match, with it was the, Falls Count Anywhere match, I believe, and just like him pedigreeing Mick onto the thumbtacks,
holding his arms.
Yeah, and then of course not only that, but just like the stuff that they did, and then of course the retirement match where they made Mick retire at No Way Out.
Oh yeah,
dude. Where
the sadness element, like
dude, man. But then Mick eventually got to come back, and he finally got to be a part of a WrestleMania main event.
Right.
And he at least got that before he finally like retired from like full-time wrestling.
Held the belt a couple times.
Oh, dude.
They paid him off.
Three-time champ. You can't take that away from him.
Watching big, strong dudes throw each other off the tops of buildings. Well, the goal of both fictional wrestling and legitimate athletic competitions is to find out who is the best in the world. So you have a bunch of wrestlers fight each other, and some of them win more than others. And only then do the winningest wrestlers have an opportunity to fight for the WWF Championship. Becoming the champion is not just the ultimate goal for the characters in the storyline. It is also the ultimate sign of validation for a wrestler's real-life career. The fun fundamental foundation of every wrestling narrative is watching guys fight to become the champion. Lower tiers of wrestlers will each fight for their own version of a championship. But no title is more coveted and more prestigious than the WWF Heavyweight Championship. Historically, the WWF title has been reserved for only the biggest, most popular attraction in the company. When you become the WWF champion, you become the face of the company. Usually, the championship only changes hands once, maybe twice a year.
The big gold, the big metal belt. Yeah, this one, dude.
That's a classic.
Title change only happened twice in the history of Raw prior to 1999.
Wow. Stone Cold and who was the other one?
Stone
The
Cold.
Rock?
Yeah, I think so. Stone Cold whenever he beat Kane. And then The Rock, yeah.
So whenever it happens, it's a pretty big deal. And on the January 4th, 1999 episode of Raw, Mankind found himself with an opportunity to win the WWF Championship.
Man, why
this
did
is the
Mankind?
essence
Oh yeah,
of his
Mankind was the
hero's
second
journey.
one, I think.
But
Yeah.
every hero needs a good villain. And the villain of this story just so happens to be the guy Mick Foley is facing for the championship. A man who many of you already know.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Know your role.
And shut your mouth. The Rock
Today,
says,
The Rock is one of the most recognized Hollywood actors on the planet. Although many people would agree that he makes a much better celebrity than an actor. Most of The Rock's repertoire today involves
Fair
acting in
enough.
high-profile but ultimately
I'm not saying
forgettable
all his
action
movies are
flicks.
bad, but more than not.
yeah. It's just every time like you see him in like it's like, oh yeah, it's that one movie with The Rock where he's in the jungle and he's bald and he's wearing a tan shirt.
All of them?
It's like 1, 2. They actually showed. It's like these are screenshots from like 6 different movies, and it's literally The Rock in a jungle wearing a tan shirt.
My favorite Rock movie ain't even up there. The Rundown.
Oh, dude, That's one of them. That's one of the ones where he's in the jungle.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's a great one, dude. Him and Sean William Scott.
That was his better one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I just remember was like the scene where he caught the whip. That dude just like was like cracking the whip at him, and he just like.
Yeah, because his whole thing is like he doesn't use guns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the jungle fight scene with Ernie Reyes Jr. and that stunt crew out there.
Yeah. Fire.
Man.
Go watch The Rundown.
It's great.
If you haven't seen it.
And Moana. The Rock's widespread fame today may raise the question of how he got popular in the first place. You see, 20 years ago, The Rock burst onto the pop culture scene as a wrestling god. To this day, no one wrestler has ever been able
Not
to...
initially.
Yeah,
not initially. The Rock was initially
hated,
disliked very much because he came in as smiling Rocky Maivia.
Love me, guy.
Yeah, had that stupid ass like coconut haircut.
Yeah.
And then he had basically just
he was a
everyone
monkey
hated
with
him.
symbols.
Yeah,
You know?
everyone hated him. But then he got on TV and they told him like say whatever you want, and he basically just like dressed down the crowd, like talk shit about them, and that's when he went from being Rocky Maivia to The Rock. When he became The Rock,
right?
That's when everyone was just like, "Oh shit, there's something here."
And that's something unique to wrestling fans, because wrestling fans will see through the bullshit.
Yes.
Like immediately, almost.
And the thing with The Rock is like that people saw through the bullshit because they knew that he was there because of, in a lot of ways, nepotism.
Yeah, exactly.
But
exactly.
when he actually showed who he can really be, that's when everything changed.
When you become the character, man, and you can see it if you ever watch it for yourself, you'll see the development.
Oh yeah,
he goes through.
It's his run with the Nation of Domination when he was like understudying with Farouk and all that.
Oh, that's one of my favorite storylines.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
my only beef with the Nation is they should have held more gold.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I swear, Ron Simmons. Well, we were at a wrestling event and Ron Simmons came out, and he came out, and me and Chad were in the front row, and he walks by us, and we do.
Yo, fall hard. What'd he say? Did he say anything?
He just goes.
I see y'all.
Yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, cool.
Damn.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, dude. Ron Simmons. That guy's a beast in his own right.
What?
But looking back in his like his early days when he was in WCW, and not only that, but back when he played football, man, the guy was a monster.
Beast, bro.
Still, and still today, I wouldn't fuck with him because he's still jacked to the gills.
Yeah, he's got that old man strength.
Oh yeah, yeah. What he'll do is he'll like grab you by the head, just pull you in close, and be like, "Damn!" And then just like next thing you know, the back of your head just blows out, and you're just like, and he'll just be like, "Oh shit, I did it again."
Hold the audience in the palm of his hand, quite like The Rock could. But it wasn't always like that. In fact, when The Rock first debuted in the WWE,
there he goes.
The Rock didn't start off
everybody
as the
hated his ass.
smack-talking, one-liner dropping legend that many of you know him as today.
Also, those sideburns, dude.
Yeah.
The Rock with them
Samoan
sideburns.
called Rocky Maivia, who would stand in the middle of the ring and smile like a goober. This was a character that may have worked 10 years prior, but not during the era of edgy 90s counterculture. WWF fans hated Rocky with a passion, and they would shower him with relentless boos while chanting, "Die, Rocky, die." Eventually, it became clear that the only way for Rocky Maivia to stop getting pushed around by the crowd was to push back. And on one fateful day, The Rock was born.
I got 3 words. Die, Rocky, die. That's the gratitude I get from you pieces of crap.
Over the next 2 years,
You know
The
he wanted
Rock
to
would
say pieces of
transform
shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know he wanted to, but I guarantee you the studio execs were like, no.
You ain't The Rock yet.
Nah.
One of the most...
Oh, dude, this is the same guy who got away with calling Shane McMahon a silver spoon motherfucker on live TV.
Facts. Oh, by the end of it, he could have said whatever. It didn't matter.
He didn't care.
He did not care. He is over.
Villains in the company, becoming such a good heel that, ironically, the audience had no choice but to love him. In 1998, The Rock would align himself with Vince McMahon and the corporation to cheat to win the WWF Championship, commencing his new reign as the corporate champion. In order to become the champion, Mankind would have to go through not just The Rock, but the squad of goons in Vince McMahon's corporate stable. The deck seemed stacked against him. At least it was until he got a little help from Triple H.
Ooh.
Good old Trip.
Yup.
The game.
Controversial figure in
Triple H
himself.
may be one of the most interesting wrestlers of all time. Not for what he's done inside of the ring, but for what he's done outside of it. Triple H started off as just another no-name wrestler in the mid-90s. He is now one of the top executives in the WWE. His real-life rise to power within
Well, I mean, look, first thing when it comes to Triple H, when it comes to Trips, I give him credit where credit is due. The man knows wrestling. The man knows,
no question.
Like, in terms of his creative direction, where he has taken WWE in the last 5 to 10 years, has been great.
Yeah, if you really understand the psychology, you can't knock Triple H.
No. And also, you know, a great wrestler in his own right. Not, to me, not my favorite, but always a great heel.
Was never really a risk taker in the ring.
No,
you know what I mean?
He planned everything out. He was very methodical with how he planned things out.
I really liked him in his Evolution run. He kind of starts being more technical.
Yeah.
I really thought that added to his character.
That was also during his the what was it called? It was the Reign of Terror.
Yeah.
Where he just buried everybody. Dude, I will say one thing and one thing only, and you can like take whatever you want away from this.
Go ahead.
Booker T deserved to win at WrestleMania 18. He deserved that, but because Trips, that's the only thing. Ego was the thing during Trip. That's the one big drawback that from Triple H. His ego, whenever he was at the top of the company, when he had the big gold belt, you couldn't tell him
it was way over the top.
Yeah, and
very potent.
Yeah, and the fact that he did that to Booker T when they did all that for Booker T to try and build him up to like make it to where he's finally going to win the big one.
And Booker T makes that match.
Yes.
Like if you watch the match,
oh man,
Booker T is going in like.
And the fact that he lost out on that, dude, he lost out on that WrestleMania moment of like hoisting the belt high, having that big moment. Like that'd be full career validation right there.
Facts,
Out of all the evolutions that Booker T's had to go through and all the hardships that he went through in WCW, basically being their golden champion at the end of their run, and a lot of people seeing that as like one of the worst like world championship runs. And it discredits the level of performer and level of like wrestler Booker T is.
Because he's a GOAT.
He
like,
is.
If we talk about
in
GOATs,
terms of in-ring performance, dude, like,
bro,
like
promos,
sheer athleticism, moveset, dude, the Harlem Hangover, the missile drop kick, the bookend, like so many great moves.
Spitter-Rudy,
dude. Oh man,
come on, man,
yeah, can't forget that. And just so many great moves and just such like infectious energy that you get from him whenever you see him.
And maybe
going off.
Underrated psychology, like his psychology. Maybe
dude, when
underrated.
he was GI Bro, like his role as GI Bro, he like in-ring psychology. He was really good when he was GI Bro.
One thing I will add to this is just you're talking about the WrestleMania moment when he does win it. Like, not to discredit Rey Mysterio, but it's a completely different feeling if he beats Triple H.
Yes.
Like, and that has to be stated. Like, it just has to be.
Well, it's because number one, Trips was the villain.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
Whereas Rey,
he's technically another WCW guy.
Yeah, Rey was a working champ, dude. Rey was like, and not only that, but Rey in a lot of ways was a face. Yeah, and people loved Rey.
Facts.
People didn't want to see Rey lose the title.
No.
People wanted to see Trips lose the title.
Exactly.
But it didn't happen.
No. Unfortunately.
The company is most likely due to his marriage with Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon's daughter, and heir
this
to
is
the
what
WWE
starts the
throne.
controversy.
I won't go more into Triple H, but this video by screenwriter Max Landis explains his career better than I ever could. All you need to know for our story is that Triple H is the leader of a faction called D-Generation X.
Huge.
Also, love the fact they're using Tony Hawk main menu music there.
Facts.
He's
got a lot of good tunes through here. Didn't we hear like Frankenstein or Godzilla?
Yeah, we did.
Frankenstein earlier?
Yeah.
Edgar Winter Group.
If you happen to be working at the Standards and Practices Department for the USA Network from 1997 to 2000, the mere mention of the letters DX will probably give you a PTSD flashback. Seemingly every week, DX would invent new ways to joke about their penises. They spent every moment on screen basically acting as raunchy as possible. They also popularized the crotch chop 10 years before Waluigi did it. One time, the members of DX rode a literal tank to the front door of WCW Nitro just to stick it to their competition. But if there's one thing Triple H and DX hated more than WCW, it's authority. Hey, wait a minute. Anyway, whenever McMahon...
they hate authority. Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, this is also the time where The Rock was wearing that dress shirt. Like
the jumpsuit.
Yeah, you know why he was wearing that, right?
I know.
He had a surgery on his pecs.
Oh, okay.
He's Samoan, and Samoans suffer like a lot of times from gigantism of the pectorals, and so it's not funny.
So he had titties.
He had titties, yes. So they basically had to go in and like remove the infected or the tissue that was affected by it, and thus that's why he had to wear that T-shirt.
He still gets heat for that sometimes.
Yeah.
As far as how his body build goes, but it never really affected.
Nah, come on.
This corporation would attack a defenseless wrestler. DX
How
would
big was
seemingly
his chest,
always
though?
be
He
there
got
to
a big ass chest anyway. Like
it was alarming. It was alarming, like how bad it was getting.
Ooh.
And they basically like removed the tissue that was getting affected by it.
Ooh.
And thus over time, like he's built his like chest back up, but there was a time like he had to wear that for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Level the playing field, and that's exactly what
These
happened
guys
in
go through,
Mankind's
man.
championship match versus The Rock. We enter a scene of utter chaos
With nobody
as
knowing.
the audience anxiously waits on pins and needles, anticipating if Mankind can do the unthinkable and win the WWF title. And that's when they hear the all too familiar sound. At this moment, the roof of the arena is about to become unhinged from the surprise return of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah! Beat the shit out of your boss. Yep.
Stone Cold Steve Austin may be the most popular wrestler of all time, even more so than Hulk Hogan. But he, like many other wrestlers I've talked about here, came from humble beginnings. Stunning Steve Austin was just an average and forgettable wrestler for WCW in the mid-90s. In 1995, WCW unceremoniously fired Austin while he was out of action with an injury. But if things couldn't get bad enough for Steve, this was also the time when he went completely bald. And when a man has lost his hair, he has nothing left to lose. Steve Austin would join the WWF with a vengeance. He cultivated the anger from his WCW firing and adopted it into a stone cold new persona. Stone Cold Steve Austin became a pissed off
sermon on, like, basically just like the King of the Ring sermon. Like, you talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. God.
Redneck from Texas who would beat up everyone and everything. He was the consummate anti-hero, constantly interrupting matches to beat people up for literally no reason. These antics made him popular, sure. He would only attain legendary stardom through his feud with Vince McMahon. Those of you unfamiliar with wrestling may have been confused earlier in this video when I mentioned that The Rock.
But I think that's what Vince lives for, man.
Why is the
that battle of egos?
Oh, big time.
Oh, he lives for that.
WWF recruiting a stable.
Well, of course, that's the thing. Vince never gave a shit if you were talking shit about him out there or anything. If it was real or what, he literally was just like, go on out there and make me some money.
Basically,
that's how he was.
Bad guys to beat up other wrestlers in his company. Well, unlike most billionaire CEOs, Vince McMahon is deeply passionate about the product he's selling. And he is willing to put his own ass in the ring and get beat up by his own employees.
Took the worst stunner ever.
Business. Even past the ripe old age of 70, Vince is still occasionally willing to step in the ring and take a top rope frog splash from a 266-pound fat guy.
Hey, you watch your mouth about Kevin Owens.
In the 90s,
Kevin's a real
when the WWF was in serious danger of going under, Vince took it upon himself to do whatever was necessary to save his company, going so far as to abandon his casual role as a commentator and quickly transform himself into the most despicable villain in all of wrestling.
Hello, Peter. What's happening?
Oh, God.
So I was sitting in my cubicle today and I realized ever since I started working, every single day of my life has been worse than the day before it. So that means that every single day that you see me, that's on the worst day of my life.
The 90s ushered in a period of sterile corporatization for the American worker. This was a time when most Americans had fallen out of faith with the government, but still somewhat trusted their corporate overlords. A time before companies like Enron and the big banks royally screwed up and put the world economy on a downward spiral. Time before the internet transformed the paradigm of what was thought possible for earning a paycheck. Most Americans entering the workforce at this time were left with one option. You would spend all your daylight hours, Monday through Friday, working in a cubicle under oppressive fluorescent lighting. And you were expected to do this week in and week out for 40 years. Naturally, a lot of workers weren't exactly thrilled with this reality.
Who would be?
Vince McMahon must have known this because starting in 1998, he transformed himself into the living embodiment of everything Americans hated about their corporate world. And for every ounce of hatred projected on Vince, Americans found an equal amount of catharsis in watching Stone Cold Steve Austin repeatedly beat
the Zamboni.
Austin
just
McMahon
jump right over top of everybody and
the
just
entire year.
Start going in.
Austin into mainstream stardom. Steve Austin did on a weekly basis what every layperson in America wishes they could have done to their bosses, teachers, or any other oppressive authority figure that separated them from what they wanted. He represents something universal about the human spirit, the desire to fight back against those who control you, the constant dream of capturing your own slice of agency. Stone Cold Steve Austin is a man who cannot be controlled, because the second you try, he'll blow up your bus, fill your car with cement, and spray you with beer from a fire
the beer bath,
And most importantly, he'll give the people what they want.
Oh yeah. Every time, dude. Anytime you hear that glass break.
That was the payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest one for me was the invasion angle, where like people saw like Austin, like Austin had arrived at the arena, and they were like the WWF guys were getting their asses kicked in the ring, and then all of a sudden just, and then just, you know, talk about like the loudest think I've ever heard a TV crowd.
Dog, when has the crowd been this hype? I mean, recently, like, has it ever gotten this hype again?
I don't. Well, outside of like whenever they're singing like intro stuff, like Cody Rhodes, whenever he comes out and the whole whoa,
oh
yeah, that when they do stuff like that, but yeah, coming unglued like this doesn't happen as often. Sad to say.
It was how it was formatted too.
Yeah.
You just didn't know anything about these guys till it came on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't know anything.
Damn.
Yo.
Many wrestling historians like to point to this moment as the loudest crowd reaction in WWE history.
It's up
I guess
there.
ultimately that's the whole point of all of this. To give people a window into a different world. A world where you could truly believe the unbelievable. A world where valiant heroes could overcome seemingly impossible odds. And where despicable villains would always be brought to justice. Eventually. You just had to keep watching to see it happen. And many Americans did. Even if it was just for 2 hours.
Yeah, look at that.
That is crazy.
That's a burst of just boom, baby.
Damn.
Look at that. And from then on, like Nitro couldn't keep up.
Yeah, by WCW.
The week on a Monday night. Wrestling historians
because
also
what
like to point to
what I was talking about earlier. Now you got their stars coming back, so we just got a better roster now too. Like
exactly. Oh man.
This event as the moment where WWF surpassed WCW once and for all as the premier wrestling company in America. Over on TNT, the Nitro commentators intentionally spoiled the ending of that night's Raw ahead of time.
If you're even thinking about changing the channel to our competition, fans, do not. Because we understand that Mick Foley, who wrestled here one time,
that was always my favorite Hogan.
Yeah, Voodoo Child by Hendrix. Dude, yeah. And just him coming out like playing like
the riffs.
Yeah.
He was on time with them too.
Okay. Oh, but yeah, this was a dick move on WCW's part. They spoiled They spoiled what happened on Raw.
Yeah.
That was such a dick move.
Yeah, you can't.
Competition fans do not.
It's no class.
We understand that Mick Foley, who wrestled here one time as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title.
This decision backfired spectacularly as 600,000 Nitro
Oh,
viewers.
we gotta see that shit.
Yeah, right there. People like here's the thing, like let the people find out on their own.
Right.
Don't tell them.
Right.
Let them find out on their own.
Did he say Cactus Jack?
Yeah. He said Mick Foley, who once wrestled here as Cactus Jack, is going to win their heavyweight.
Oh well, that's where they screwed up because he came from WCW.
Exactly.
Oh man, he had a following over there. They were stupid.
And then just dude, right there. You fucked up.
Yeah,
you just need to just not do that. Just shh.
All his followers, like I love.
I guarantee you, Bischoff was on the headset and he was just like, yeah. Tell him that Mick Foley won the championship. That'll ruin everything. No, it didn't. It messed everything up.
That's gas for them.
Immediately changed the channel to Raw to witness one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history. Conversely, those who kept watching Nitro that night got to witness one of the most anticlimactic and frustrating moments in wrestling.
Finger poke of doom. Like you want to talk about like basically just like completely changing of, like directions. Because basically, here's Raw, here's Nitro. Finger poke of doom. A lot of people say that this is the beginning of the end for WCW, and in a lot of ways it was.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, you described it right. It's going
as the
like
despicable
this.
villain
Completely
Hollywood
opposite.
Hogan reclaimed the WCW championship after his so-called opponent Kevin Nash literally laid down and gave it to him. 2 years later, WCW would go out of business, and Vince would finally achieve his goal of conquering the last major American wrestling promotion by acquiring WCW for pennies on the dollar. Right after the WCW commentators spoiled the end of Raw that night, Tony Schiavone infamously mocked the idea of Mankind winning the WWF title by sarcastically commenting,
Gonna put some butts in the seat.
Technically, he was correct in his snide assessment, because no one was sitting down in the Centrum Center as the referee counted
Look
to
at how
three on
live it
Mankind's
is.
first ever championship victory.
I mean, you can see
Monday
the
Night
noise.
Raw is still on the air today. WWE and wrestling as a whole have largely diminished in popularity since this time. It's a decline brought about not from what's different in the ring, but rather how the world has changed around it. And for this reason, WWE may never again be able to replicate a moment of this spectacle. But nothing else on TV really could either. The pure hype of the crowd surrounding the ring that night is something truly unique about professional wrestling. There's a visceral, palpitating feeling of unbridled excitement that permeates through whatever screen you're watching it on, even 20 years later. The cascading wave of emotion on display here is, quite simply, raw. And you'd be hard-pressed to replicate something like this with any other TV show.
Facts.
Not bad for something that's not even real. This is the end of just another episode of Monday Night Raw. There are more than 1,300 other episodes like it, and counting. So if you find yourself bored on a Monday night flipping through channels on TV, and you happen to catch a glimpse of a bunch of weird-looking muscle men brawling on the USA Network, you can stop and appreciate it, because there will never ever be another TV show like it.
I don't agree, man. I was chilling on Peacock with all of my episodes. I was running through them, dog.
Yeah,
and now I can't.
Now it's on
Come
Netflix.
on, man. Now I get a little bit like through the old pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can still watch SmackDown, so you get a little bit there.
Man.
When's Raw coming back? You know what I'm saying?
Don't know.
Is it coming back? Yeah, that's a good question.
Don't know if it ever will.
Mankind did it. This is such a golden era, man. Like, you don't just get this. I'm so happy I got to live through it.
Me too, man. Yeah. I'm glad I got to witness it.
I hate that the people that didn't can't capture that emotion, because I feel that's a key part to my character in a way. Like, who I am as a person was experience and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. Some next level stuff, dude. I miss it. I miss being a kid and just tuning into this stuff and just having my brain just blown out by this.
Just stuck. I'm not home yet, Mom. We gotta get home because I gotta watch this.
I gotta
tonight.
see if Mankind's gonna win the championship.
Facts, and it ain't gonna be no replays.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I gotta see it tonight.
Oh man. Well, everybody, I think that might do it. So
we went a while on this one.
Yeah, we did. So we'll probably have to rush through the next ones. But anywho, I guess that's gonna do it. So y'all want to check out more from Imp Lemon, feel free to do that. But also feel free to check out more from us. There'll be some links and stuff on screen that'll guide y'all to where y'all need to go. Yeah. And I guess once again, signing off. I'm Nate.
I'm drawn up, man.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.